and welcome to the first in a hopefully continual series of videos where I talk about things usually Elder Scrolls related. And I am playing Arena in the background. So of course, thunderstorm, literally I think the thunderstorm just started, so I'm sorry about that. So this is the first episode in this series, and in Arena, a wolf just shot a fireball at me, because that's how stuff works. Oh, thank your scene, it's just a goblin. Okay, goblins. Okay, for this first topic I'm going to be discussing is what I would like my ideal Elder Scrolls 6. Now, the first thing I would like is more realistic combat. In real life, you miss your target a lot. I'm not being sarcastic. This is not, for those of you who this is my first video that you've ever watched, I'm not making fun of Morrowind. I'm actually praising Morrowind's combat. And no, that is not because I'm a nostalgic fanboy. I played the Elder Scrolls games backwards, so Morrowind wasn't my first. And I didn't play Morrowind until maybe early, maybe late, mid 2013. So none of my stuff on Morrowind is based off of, oh, those were the days. I'm not that kind of guy. So you can't use the nostalgia argument for me with Morrowind. I'm sorry. You will be ignored if you do. In real life, you miss your target a lot, and you're probably saying, well, of course, your target can dodge. Yes, your target can also dodge, but based off of my experience in real life, you do miss your target quite a bit, just because, I mean, they're moving, you're moving, you were trying desperately to not get hit by them, they're trying desperately to not get hit by you. It is pure chaos. Combat isn't like it is in the movies, you know, doing 360 spin rounds, all this fancy, big moves, chopping someone's arm off. That's not real. Well, I mean, in real combat, you can't chop someone's arm off. But, real combat, the most simple way I can explain it is you're flailing your arms at each other, and such. There's a video example that kind of shows what I'm talking about. If you're on YouTube, you can right now, or if you've already seen it, you know what I'm talking about, or after you're done watching this video. There is a video called Fighting as It Was for the Vikings, and it shows kind of what I'm talking about. I mean, they don't miss each other. I think they may a few times, but the guys in the video are like fight choreographers, so they, you know, they know how to fight really good, obviously. But, I mean, some peasant who has never fought before, or some prisoner who has never used a sword, axe, or blunt weapon in their life, like your character in Elder Scrolls will most inevitably be a prisoner. You're not gonna know how to hit your target every time. Sometimes, even when you hit your target and you, I myself have never worn armor, unless a robe and some type of leather sash thing counts, but I don't think it does. But someone told me who has worn, I think he said it was an iron chestplate. He said if the enemy did a poor swing, even if they hit him, it felt like someone was stroking his skin. So I think if Elder Scrolls 6 has this type of combat like I want, but it most likely won't, because then little boys would throw fits because they can't hit their target and this game is stupid. And unfortunately, Elder Scrolls games are being aimed at more casual audiences. I have nothing against casual gamers, but I don't think role-playing games have any place in casual gaming whatsoever. And the role-playing title is it's not becoming role-playing games. Like, if you look at section of role-playing games that come out this year, most of them are not really, like, when most people who are like me, who like a good classic RPG and a good game, you roll your character, you play as this character, you create a good backstory for him. You'll see some of the RPGs that have come out in 2015, and I'm like, how is that a role-playing game? And I'm talking about things, Grand Theft Auto's not 2015, but I'm talking about things like, well, I mean, I've never played Grand Theft Auto, so I can't say. Neither have I really seen gameplay of it. I mean, I saw gameplay of it on the Conan O'Brien show, but I'm pretty sure that's not that's not really gameplay I should base my opinion on the game off of. But I've seen gameplay of The Witcher, and I know what The Witcher is slightly. I've never, or at least Witcher 3, and I've never played it. It has role-playing elements, but based off what I've seen of that game, I would not consider that an RPG. Mainly because a role-playing game is, or at least this is what I was sure role-playing games were. You create something, you create a version of yourself as if you were a person in a time like that, or as if you play as if you are living in Morrowind as a Dunmer, or you play as if you are living in Northmoor in High Rock as an Argonian warrior who likes spears and such, and has certain personality traits and everything. And this is your background, this is where you come from, these are little people, these are vivid people you remember from your background, that sort of stuff. Like, you're living a second life in this world that's kind of better than... Never mind. In this world that's a lot more interesting and is still realistic like yours is. And please don't comment saying, well, in real life there aren't Argonians, lizard people, cat people, and elves and orcs. Those aren't in real life. Why should there be? Okay, so if those exist in real life, well, those aren't in real life. Well, buildings aren't in real life, so therefore there should be no buildings. Architectural, government, and politics, and weapons should not be in the game. Then, if things that are real can't be in the game, then none of that stuff can be in the game. How's that sound? I mean, okay, this is based off of certain beliefs and theories, but I mean, I believe that trolls Argonians and Khajiit and maybe elves. Not the magic part, but the biological part. I think they're maybe evolutionarily possible. Or if they're not, then the god of whatever realm the game takes place in created them. So it's still realistic. I'm talking about things like physics, logic, and stuff like that. I'm not getting good luck with enemies spawning near me in arena. I'm getting all those human enemies that you might as well just reload when you see them, because they are like African, like warriors that are on some type of, that have like some type of blessing that allows them to move like super fast and fight like a god. But yes, I would like real combat. I would like to see if you just hit your target and you have a poor swing. I would like to see, you know, I would like, because you know in Skyrim, and I'm pretty sure that in the Six Elder Scrolls game they'll have this as well. But in Skyrim, when you swing your weapon, every once in a while your character will be like, because you know you're putting out a lot of energy, and I would like to see if your weapon skill is low, instead of you'll still be able to do successful attacks, but to have kind of your swing for when you miss, your swinging animation is kind of, your hands kind of wobbly, and you're kind of like, you know, you're not hitting them very well. Or if the enemy dodges, I would like to see the enemy, you know, move to the side or roll, or roll if they're an archer, or you know, dodge your attack, or evade, or even counter your attack somehow. I don't know how exactly they would be able to do counter attacks and something like that. But you know, we never know. I mean, it's really fantastic now that we have Xbox Ones and PlayStation 4s, because now the games can be built to run like they did on the last generation of PCs. No offense. But so that's the first thing I would like, is more realistic combat. The second thing I would like is no leveling. I want the world to be static like it was in Morrowind. Nothing. I want absolutely nothing but your character and maybe a follower or pets. I want nothing else but those three things to level. In Skyrim, the world, I mean, maybe it's not, but the way I've played Skyrim, the world revolves around your character. Bandit chiefs will be the same difficulty defeating at level 5 as they are at level 50, because they scale to your level. It is not that simple. It's a little more complex than that, but that's a simple way of explaining it. So, now for those of you who haven't played Morrowind, if you go into a town at level 5, the guards will be level 20, right? If you go back to that town at level 70, those guards will still have the same gear, same weapons, and everything, and they will still be level 20. If you go into a dungeon at level 5, and the dungeon is full of level 70 enemies, and you are able to clear that dungeon, you will be rewarded with a weapon like Ebony Longsword, because you were able to clear this master dungeon as a level 5 character, which I don't think is possible in Morrowind, but to any of those who have done it, congratulations. this is the part. This kind of goes into the realistic combat as well, where I don't want the leveling to be damage based. Where if you get Dawnbreaker in Skyrim at level 1, yeah, it's this amazing Dawnbreaker, but its damage is forever, its base damage will forever be stuck at like 5 points. And I think the enchantment will be crappy as well. You can try to improve that if you get your blacksmithing skill up, but you'll never be able to get it. You'll never be able to actually play the game and do that. Of course, you can do the enchantment alchemy loop, and then once you're done with that, use all those potions and enchantments you've made to create a potion that fortifies blacksmith by like 500%, and a ring, or you can craft 30 ring. You can craft 30, or you can craft all the apparel slots that will allow you to have the blacksmithing enchantment, and you can bring that weapon up. But if you're going to do that, why wouldn't you do it to a Daedric sword where it can be even more powerful anyway? I also think you can disenchant Daedric weapons in Skyrim. You might not be able to, but I remember being able to do that. I think I disenchanted... I think I did disenchant, I think it was the Malakath thing. I disenchanted that. And you shouldn't be able to do that. So what I'm saying is I don't want the game to be like Skyrim, where everything levels so that it's even. And I also don't want things to be like Dark Souls or whatever, where everything levels against you, or something like that. I don't know if Dark Souls levels at all. I've never played it. So I think everything should be static, no scaling, just like it was in Morrowind, and just like it was in the Requiem and Morrowind mods for Skyrim. Now the third thing I want is the unmerging and re-adding of skills that have either been merged or removed altogether. In Skyrim, they removed athletics and acrobatics, and I'm pretty sure that's because in Oblivion you could exploit them to the high heavens. I guess they removed them instead of making them so they didn't have to be exploited, because but I would like them to add those skills back and make them so they work. Like, make it so that you have to run. No, not run. You have to sprint. So it costs stamina and everything. Let's say you have to sprint for not a certain duration, but you have to sprint a certain distance. Like, let's say you have to sprint 3 miles before your skill increases. Not all at once. And, let's say you have to, I don't know how they'd be able to do it with acrobatics. Let's say you could, let me think. They could make it so that you have to actually, for the skill to increase, you have to actually be jumping. I don't know, they'd probably have to do a bunch of scripting for this to actually work. But you have to either jump over something, jump to dodge an attack, or jump onto a higher area for to gain skill experience. The other skills I would like to see re-added, I would say Mercantile, because it adds for more diversity, but I think making speech, I think maybe I'm wrong, but based off my knowledge, I think merging mercantile and personality into speechcraft, I think that made sense, because obviously if you're some super nice, reasonable guy, you're obviously going to be good at ripping someone off. Another skill. So I'm fine with that. Now for the combat skills. Right, here we go. This is the one where, for some reason, no one agrees with me. And people they try to justify the combat skill merging. So in Morrowind, your combat skills were short blade, what else? Axe, and blunt. Now, while I used I don't know if it's called a claymore, two-handed longsword, greatsword, I don't know what they're called, but it's basically a two-handed sword that's like 3 to 4 feet long, and they were very familiar. I mean, obviously they weighed different and you kind of held them different, but to me, it was very similar in the way you attacked with that and a short sword in real life. So I'm fine with them, the way they made blade. They merged those into just the blade skill. I am not fond of how in Oblivion axes are considered blunt weapons, because axes are not blunt. An axe can cut someone very hard. They're kind of in between maces. They're kind of in between blunt weapons and blades. They have a strong impact, but they also can cleave into flesh. So I would like that. I would also like a spear skill. But before I get to that, let me explain the combats, because I know some people don't understand what I'm saying. There are major differences to those 3 weapon types besides the speed that they swing at. Okay? Now, I posted a topic on the Bethesda forums about this, and someone said, well, there are different perk branches for the different weapons, so that's fine. You are wrong. The first perk can be upgraded to 5 ranks. It affects all one-handed weapons and gives you damage bonuses to them. So basically, you can swing with a sword and do all this stuff, gain all this experience, and then add all the stuff, and then get all the perks because you've unlocked them, and then be able to use a mace and be great with it, even though you've never used one before. But you can now use it because you do so much damage. That is no. There should be for the melee weapons, excluding spears, there should be the blunt skill, the blade skill, and the axe skill. Now for spears, I think spears should be re-added, and that they should have their own skill. I think archery should be renamed to marksman, and that they should have crossbows in the game from the start, because it didn't make sense that the skill was called archery, but you used crossbows. That didn't make sense to me. I also want there to be more types of crossbows. Even Morrowind didn't have very many. I think Morrowind had 2 types of crossbows, didn't it? So I would like to see iron crossbows, steel crossbows. My characters usually don't use crossbows. I play knight characters, so of course I usually use crossbows for my knight characters. Except for he still hasn't achieved one yet. I haven't recorded any new episodes of that since episode 9. Sorry. I know a lot of people like that. I'm focusing on my own Morrowind character right now, and I'm not going to get too big into it, but I'm working on I'm working on 2 major projects for Morrowind. One of my already available projects I want to update. I'm working on another texture mod for the snow to be much better than the spider webs that I originally made. A lot of people see that and don't realize that I have an alternate temporary version that's so much better, that doesn't look like spider webs. And I'm working on a claim with someone else. Someone else is also helping with me with one of the big projects, but for a project called ModTown 2015, which if you have any skills in modding and in Morrowind modding and you haven't heard of it, I think you should check it out. Someone named his channel name is Morrowind Modding Showcases, but his forum handle and everything is Dark Elf Guy. He has a video about it for ModTown 2015. I would suggest you. If you want, you can You can help ModTown 2015. But in my experiences, because I'm working with someone else on this, kind of what's happening is, see, I know how to build interiors and everything. I know how to place NPCs, give them certain stats, make creatures, not physically make the mesh, but use meshes and, fill in the stats and everything, the name, the ID, and everything. I know how to build stuff. I don't know how. I have created scripts before, but I don't think it worked. Like, for any of you who have ever read the Spider-Man comic books, you'll know where I get my username from. But as an Easter egg in my little plot for ModTown 2015, if you don't know where I get my username Symbiote, the dinosaur part is just because I like dinosaurs, but symbiotes are these, they're symbiotic organisms in the Spider-Man universe, and they basically bond to you. And symbiotes is like Venom, Carnage, Black Suit, Spider-Man. The reason all the symbiotes look like Spider-Man is because the first symbiote bonded to Spider-Man and then reproduced, and that's why all the symbiotes wearing enemies and such have Spider-Man's powers. Well, amplified versions of them, at least. So in the game, as an Easter egg, I used the muck mesh to create a thing called the symbiote, and I wanted to add a script that gave you all the negative and positive effects that it did as a disease, so that you would have to have a cure. Unfortunately, I couldn't do that, so I just added an enchantment to it, so that when you put it on your character, it's listed as a clothing item, but it's not actually visible on your character. Kind of like a ring or a belt is in Morrowind. But yeah, so I'm not good with scripting, but basically I'm building a area, and someone else is, I don't know how to pronounce his name, it's like More Titus or something, is doing scripts and stuff like that for the area to make it interactive or something like that. If you are already part of Modtown 2015, you're listening to this, you'll probably know which claim I'm talking about. But anyways, that's why I'm doing many other things in Morrowind that I'm focused on. So that is why I cannot record. Or that's why I don't want to record any Morrowind until I'm done with that. I may record one episode or two sometime in between, but if I don't, I apologize for this, but the next Morrowind episode, the next like 5 episodes may not be available to view until November, or if extreme stuff happens, January. So yeah, sorry about that, but where was I on the topic of Battlefield 6? Oh right, crossbows and such. The marksman skill is fine. I think they should, in the next section of this video, I'm going to be talking about new weapon types and armor types and all of that, you know, and the way stats affect you and everything. So, what other skills did they remove? No, they have lockpicking. New skills I think should be added. I think climbing should be added, because Todd Howard once said, "See that mountain? You could climb it, but no, you literally hop up it like a very ill rabbit with severe bladder leakage." And the rabbit, it's just trying, but every time it hops, it's got to piss because it's just jumped and it's made its bladder uneasy. Okay, that was kind of a creepy laugh. Oh well. But I think climbing should have some type of animation, and you shouldn't be able to just climb anything like you could in Daggerfall. And there should be a button that you press to activate your climbing ability. And I think some races should be better at it than others. Like Khajiit. Cats are very good at climbing and jumping and such. So Khajiit would get a bonus to that. And so on. I'd also like the magic skills that they took away brought back. And I think the only... Did they take anything else away besides mysticism? I mean, after Daggerfall, they took away Theomarchy, or whatever it's called. I guess they could re-add that. So yeah, there's that. And I would also like them to re-implement the attributes. Now, I know the attributes are confusing for some people. Maybe they could merge the attributes. As long as they bring the attributes back, I'm fine with merging them if they do it in the right way. And that is like, what are the Elder Scrolls attributes? Strength, speed, endurance, agility, luck, personality, willpower. That's it, right? So I think they could maybe merge part of willpower into strength and part of it into intelligence. And I think they could maybe completely deal away with the personality attributes, and because there's already the speechcraft skill. I'd be okay with that. I'd like them to keep the luck attribute, because I think it increases your chances, you know, to get better loot, even in a static world. And I would... It doesn't make realistic sense to me, but I would be okay if they merged speed and agility. And I think I've only played Dungeons and Dragons once, and that was only for like an hour, and we didn't accomplish very much. But if I recall correctly, dexterity was kind of like the speed and agility attribute merged. But Dungeons and Dragons, Dungeon Masters, don't get mad at me. I can't remember. I'm not stating this as fact. But that's kind of what I remember it as. But I would be fine if they merged agility and speed and called it dexterity or something like that. I would be absolutely fine with that, as long as they brought the attributes back. Or the classic attributes, not the health, magicka, stamina bullshit. That's absolute fucking bullshit. I'm sorry. Or to me it is. Sorry. I don't want to sound like I'm forcing my opinion on anyone. All these things are my opinions, by the way. None of these are facts. These are things I want. I would like, and now for 5, this is... No, is this the 5th? Okay, oh well, this is the next section. I was gonna do weapons and new gear types, but I think I'm gonna do this one. So, your character's stats and such. In the Elder Scrolls, your race has never really mattered like that much. I mean, I guess in Morrowind and Daggerfall they mattered. Well, yeah, they mattered quite a bit in both of those games. Not sure about Arena. In Oblivion, it didn't seem like your race really mattered that much. And then in Skyrim, it's like your race barely matters, if it matters at all. And this brings up, I was trying to be the polite end of the conversation, but the other guy was just being, I don't know if he was mad or something, but basically the argument was, I think he told someone else called Skyrim a casual game, which it is. I'm sorry, I'm not saying it's, well, I don't like it, but I'm not saying it's an awful game. It is a casual game. And I told him the thing with the races, and he says, that doesn't make it a casual game. No one wants to have their race have a disadvantage or something. And I'm like, that is what a casual game is, okay? Hang on, I'm gonna split this video into 2. Alright, so where was I? The conversation with... I was at the conversation with that one guy had in YouTube's comments, where basically he said, you can't... It doesn't make the game fun if your character's race gives them a disadvantage, and I don't remember what his response was, but I was like, you do realize that is a casual element. What you are saying is that you don't want to have to put any time or thought into your character creation. That is a casual game. You can create your character, join any faction, do any quest, and not have it negatively affect your character whatsoever. Now, that conversation went into basically him. I'm like, if by chance that guy's watching this video, know that, man, I'm not trying to like, I'm not like intentionally attacking you or anything. I'm just using that conversation as an example. I think we should agree to disagree on that. I mean, if you want a game that's not too hardcore, that is absolutely fine. And there are several games out there that are more casual that you would enjoy. But, what else? Yeah, I want your race to have more, more of an impact. Even in like Morrowind, it did have, I think there were skills and maybe some disadvantages, but, you know, there weren't really, not even that much in Morrowind. I want, I know I hate this about Nords, but it makes sense within the lore of Skyrim, not within the lore of the Nords, because based off what I know and what someone told me, because I noticed in Morrowind, the Nords, they make jokes about elves, but they aren't these stuck-up dicks who hate anyone who's not a human. Or at least they didn't seem to be. Maybe they were in Blood Moon, but I haven't played Blood Moon yet. But then in Skyrim, elves are these just, no, Nords are just these awful racist people. And, I don't understand why exactly that was done. But, the Nords of all of Skyrim don't allow Khajiit in their cities, right? But if your character is a Khajiit, you are allowed to go in the city. I think your race should have an effect on things like that. I think, like, for example, say you're, where could the game take place? I mean, if it's in this sake, where the races are realistic and based off lore, the game could never take place in Black Marsh. Say you're, let me think of an extreme example that would... Okay, say you're like a savage orc or something, not saying all orcs are savage. And the game took place in High Rock, and there was some little town that had recently been invaded by orcs. You would have to earn their trust because they have distrust towards orcs, and they would have some type of high disposition, some threatening dialogue to you because they don't like orcs because their town was just pillaged by orcs. But you could still earn their trust, possibly. Or if they hated orcs so much, then I guess you wouldn't be able to. Or, what would be another example? Do the Red Guards hate anyone? No. Or, say it did take place in Black Marsh. Say, all the Argonians, and your character's a Dunmer. Say all the Argonians there, they kinda... They don't hate you, but they kinda like, you know, they've got beef with you because you're a Dunmer, and, many Dunmer enslaved the beast races and such. I think they did Khajiit. I think they enslaved Khajiit as well, but I don't think the Khajiit enslavement was as bad. Because I've seen way more lizard slaves in Vardenfell than I have Khajiit. But, so yeah, I think your race should matter in that way, and I also think races should have a lot better, I think their disadvantages, their, like, you know, their active effects that are bad, I think those should be bad. I mean, I think those should be more powerful, and that the positive ones should also be more powerful. Like, say... And this is another thing I would prefer. I would prefer all skills start out as 5. Right? Now, I know that's really low. But, and your character's race gets bonuses to all skills, and all the skill bonuses they get start out as 10 or 20 instead. You know, but then again, I like hardcore role-playing, classic immersion and realism, so yeah. I would also, now moving on to the next section, but before I do, I'll say one last thing about your character and such. I think skills should progress a lot slower. And that you should only be able to get a skill increase, like you should only be able to increase your skill one time per enemy, because I never did this because I don't exploit games. This isn't a weakness in a game. Any game can be exploited if you know your way around it, or any game like this can be exploited. If you play Skyrim, you can sit there and attack Hadvar until your one-handed skill is increased to 100. You can sit there for hours and hours and hours just attacking him, or whatever the Stormcloak guy's name was. You can just sit there attacking them for hours upon hours upon hours until your skill levels up. So I think you should be limited to only one skill increase per opponent. Maybe if it's a boss, like 3. Now, moving on to gear. I would like to see a lot more gear and weapon types. I would like to see armors broken back down so they can be more customizable, like they were in Morrowind. And Daggerfall. They were a little bit more customizable in Morrowind than they were in Daggerfall, I think. I don't want it to be cuirass, gauntlets, boots, and helmets. I want it to be boots, right gauntlet, right pauldron, left pauldron, greaves, leggings for that's another character thing. I don't think beast races should be able to wear boots. Beast races should not be able to wear boots. They should have to wear special made leggings, and you should have to find those leggings in the world, not you put boots on and they just look different on you. Beast races should also be I think it's pronounced digitigrade. It's basically an animal that walks on its digits, its toes, instead of its feet. And the beast races were like that in Morrowind. Kind of like, what's a dinosaur? Well, not all dinosaurs. Stuff like most theropod carnivorous dinosaurs were like that. Or birds. Birds are like that. Cats are like that. They don't walk on their full foot. They walk on their digits. Humans can try to do that. I've tried it. You can't do it for very long, though, because your toes aren't as strong as... I mean, they're not walking tippy-toed. Your legs are... These types of animals, their legs are bent, and... Like, just look at the way Argonians stand and walk with the Beast Race animation replacer, not the vanilla one. I don't understand what the animator who made that was thinking. Why did they animate, or why would they animate them like that? But anyways, so I want all the armor slots to be that. And if they can't do that because some sort of... There's no way that consoles limit that. I mean, I'm a PC gamer, but I'm not one of those people who blames consoles for everything. I'm pretty sure a console can handle decent UI, high field of view. There's no reason... Why wouldn't a console be able to handle that? That's not a performance thing. field of view doesn't have anything to do with performance, as far as I know. But the field of view thing's just a personal preference. I like to play at least 90 field of view. Unfortunately, in Oblivion, because that game was made around consoles as well, and I don't know why consoles have a game that's made around consoles has to have low field of view, but so there will be major clipping if you, in the first person, if you try to increase your field of view past like 80 in Oblivion. Skyrim, if you tried to do it anything past 90, it would do that. And Morrowind, I've put my Morrowind field of view at like 150, and I think there was only a clipping issue when I had a big piece of armor on and I was drawing a bow. That was it. But I don't usually play at 150 field of view. I usually play at 100. Now, I would also like to see new clothing options, and that means pants, shirts, gloves, and boots, and robes. You should also be able to wear clothing under your armor and robes over your armor. I've seen video. Once again, I'm not a Fallout fan. Maybe I'll try and play it sometime in the future. Lots of people tell me I'd like it because I like the Elder Scrolls. So I may play Fallout game in the future. Probably not Fallout 3, because the gameplay I've seen of that, it doesn't seem like... I like to create my character's backstory and everything, and Fallout 3 appears to just give you one. Maybe Fallout New Vegas. I've seen a lot of cool looking mods like that. Like, I think there's a mod called Dust. That looks pretty cool. So I might play with that from the beginning, because 30 different people have spoiled the ending for me. And then they say spoiler alert after they tell you. You're supposed to say, the whole point of saying spoiler alert is to say it before you say the thing that's a spoiler. So, yeah. But I've seen videos of Fallout 4 and heard people say that there's layered robes and clothing and such, so maybe we might actually get that in Elder Scrolls 6. One thing that's in Fallout 4 that I absolutely do not want in Elder Scrolls is a voice protagonist. If they absolutely have to do that, it needs to be toggleable, or a mod author needs to completely remove it before I will play it. Now, on to the next... Oh wait, no, still in that section. For marksman type weapons, I think they should bring back stuff like throwing darts, throwing knives, throwing stars. I think there were more than that in Morrowind, but I can't remember what else Morrowind has. I think for the spear skill they should bring back, I think they should have maybe Yaris. I'm not sure those are classified as spears though. Short spears, which a one-handed spear, so you can have it in your so you can have a shield and a spear. And all the spears, there shouldn't be a two-handed, one-handed skill and everything. No. Your skill for a two-handed spear and one-handed spear should be the same. Pole arms, maybe, halberds. I probably pronounced both those wrong. And then for blades, I think they should have daggers, tantos, wakizashis, short swords, sabers, long swords, broadswords, and great swords, and katanas. And then for axes, I think they should have hatchets, war axes, and battle axes. then for blunt weapons, I think they should have staves. Like I don't know if Morrowind had staves. I know Daggerfall had staves, so you could be a wizard and also, you know, smack your. These aren't magic staves I'm talking about. This is like a stick that you hit someone with. And maybe also be able to add magical effects to them so that they do more damage, so that they do magical damage, and that should be part of the blunt skill. I think they should be two-handed, and I'll mention how magic should work in the next. What was that? Okay, yeah. So for blunt weapons, those, then maces, clubs, mauls, maulers, warhammers, hammers, all that stuff. There's so many other blunt weapon types, I think, but those are all the ones I know of. So, and yeah, I think that's all that. There's so much more equipment types, but yeah. Now on to magic. I think I love the way Oblivion handled magic. Okay. I don't like the way how in Morrowind and Skyrim you had to. I mean, in Morrowind it wasn't as bad because like you didn't unequip your weapon if you wanted to fucking equip a spell. You could still have, and I know there's a mod that fixes this, so you just hit a button and it casts a spell, and I use that mod for Morrowind. So you can have a claymore and still be able to cast a spell. You just kind of hold the claymore with one hand for a second and then shoot the. I'm talking about greatsword, like two-handed longsword claymores, not the other kind. And you could do that in Oblivion, but for some reason in Skyrim they went back to you have to equip magic. I know they wanted to do some type of wizard duel thing, so maybe there should be different types of destruction spells, maybe, or just alternate ways of casting the same spell, and maybe one is, say the one where you actually equip it, let's say that's faster, and that's it. Oh, something's attacking me. Crap. Okay, I also think there should be a lot more spells. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Now for the next section, factions and faction consequences. I think they should bring back the Fighters Guild. I think they should have some type of mages organization, because I think in the lore the Mages Guild isn't there, disbanded after the Oblivion Crisis. I may be wrong. You should be able to join almost all the factions. There should be an Imperial Legion, some type of Aldmeri or Thalmor. I know they aren't the same. Some type of you can join the Thalmor embassy thing, and of that certain country, unless it takes place in like Hammerfell or one of the Argonian Dominion countries or whatever, like Morrowind and Black Marshar, or just Southern Morrowind and Black Marshar. And yeah, there should also be some type of temple factions, like there were in Daggerfall, local knightly orders, political factions that don't revolve around all action-based stuff. That's another thing I absolutely want. I want the game to be less of an action RPG and more of an RPG. And yes, they are different. An action RPG is something like Oblivion is in between an action RPG and an actual RPG. Skyrim is a heavily focused action RPG. It's barely not an RPG anymore. You can still roleplay in Skyrim. It's not very much of a role-playing game to me, at least. What else? Faction requirements and consequences. Things like that Thalmor organization. The Thalmor hate Nords, right? They absolutely despise things like Nords, or they probably despise orcs as well. I don't know if they would Red Guards, because didn't the Red Guards have like beef with them or something? Maybe they did. Say if you're one of those races, you cannot join. Or you have to do a whole bunch of quests for them before they finally go, okay, we accept you. Or if your character is caught accepting a blessing from a Talos shrine, you permanently, you never, no matter what, you will never be able to join that Thalmor faction again. Ever. No matter what, you will never be able to join it, because you were caught worshipping Talos. And the Thalmor hate, well, it's not that they hate, they want to create the illusion that they hate Talos. But the whole reason they did the whole Talos thing, it was to create chaos. The Thalmor gain power in the chaos of men slaughtering each other. They want Skyrim back, and if all the Imperials and Nords slaughter each other, they will have it. And yes, that is actual lore. I'm not making that up. Those Skyrim players who don't understand lore and say, that's just Imperial propaganda. No, there's actually a book in the Thalmor, Ulfric Storm. The Thalmor were so delightfully happy. I mean, of course, they didn't summon Alduin, I don't think, but they were very happy that it was very convenient for them that Alduin disrupted Ulfric Stormcloak's execution so that the war could continue and more chaos would ensue. But, what other factions? Whatever mages faction they have, you should have to have, like, at least, like, whoa, holy crap, you should have to have, like, at least 10 in, like, at least 2 magic skills, in order to join their faction, and in order to be promoted. And the fighters organization, you shouldn't be able to join them if you have never used a weapon before or anything like that. Sorry, once again, I'm playing Arena in the background. I'm mostly just wandering around, looking at the world, because that's all that I find of enjoyment in that game. Okay, once again, I hate how everything fades in and fades out with a little transition. So yeah, factions should have consequences. Say the Thalmor hate the Mages Guild. Not the Mages Guild, whatever Mages organization they had. Say the Thalmor absolutely despise them. If you join them, you won't be able to join the Thalmor. Or if you join the Thalmor, you won't be able to join them. Or say there's an option in one of those quest lines where you get the opportunity to betray the Mages organization for the Thalmor organization. You can have the ability to do that and destroy them. And there should just be way more factions. Like at least 7 is what I would like. Now, I think there are only 2 more sections of this video I have left for I will be done with this particular, I guess you could call it a podcast. So this one is now interface. I would like for, I don't know if it's called HUD or HUD, I would like for it to be less intrusive. Morrowind had the HUD, they did it great. I don't understand why they changed it. That layout was great. It was all in the corners at the bottom of your screen, and then you had the crosshair. That was fine. And then Oblivion's got to the point where it was this really intrusive thing in your corner, and then Skyrim, it's everything is in the middle of your screen. So and for the user interface, I think they should go back to, for some reason Skyrim didn't do this, but I always liked the way Oblivion, pretty much every Elder Scrolls game except Skyrim has handled. Even Elder Scrolls Online does this, which is a very fun game. I don't understand what the negative reputation is. I guess people thought it was going to be Skyrim Online, or that it was going to be World of Warcraft 2. But it's not. It's very different. If I had to say it's similar to any of the Elder Scrolls games, I'd say it's very similar to Oblivion. But for the interface, I want the character sheet style thing, like all the Elder Scrolls games except for Skyrim have. And I want it to be the drag and drop like it was in Morrowind as well. I would also like them to either get physics right or just not have complex physics. I mean, I would like them to have physics because it's realistic. That's one of the things I don't like about Morrowind. I hope OpenMW adds physics. Not ragdoll physics though, just like not complex ragdoll physics, because Morrowind is unique in which you can customize your home very easily. I would want the physics to just be gravity. Up and down, vertical gravity, if OpenMW adds them. So if you drop something in midair, it drops down. It doesn't flip around and do a bunch of rotation like it does in Oblivion or Skyrim. Another type of interface thing, I want werewolves to be done in first person again, like they were in Daggerfall and Morrowind. I don't know if Arena had werewolves. I also want there to be, this is another little rant. I want there to be more types of lycanthropes. I want there to be wereboars, werebears, depending on where the game takes place, of course, because I know some of these creatures only live in certain provinces. But wereboars, werecrocs, werebears, weresharks are mentioned in lore, werevultures, werewolves, werelions. I don't know if wererats are in the Elder Scrolls lore or not. But yeah, and I think all those types of lycanthropes should be playable. And now for the final part. What does Symbiote Dinosaur want for the location of Elder Scrolls 6? Well, that is a hard decision. I don't want Akavir. Akavir should never be done in a game. Maybe a little bit of it should be done in a spin-off, possibly, but I never want Akavir to an entire game to be taking place on Akavir. For location, I definitely do not want Hammerfell. I would be okay with High Rock, but I don't want a human province. Because they're not unique. What made Morrowind so great? One of the the biggest things that made Morrowind so unique is it was so alien and bizarre, and you know, and I mean, your character starts out as level 1. Yeah, you are shit. Well, no, you're not shit, but you suck. And then later, and the game treats you like you suck at level 1, like it should. Like Skyrim, where NPCs give you free blowjobs from the start of the game. I want Somerset Isles. Probably Somerset Isle. Either Somerset Isle or elsewhere, I'd have to say. Now, everyone knows my favorite race is Argonian, but I don't want Black Marsh. See, I hate jungles. In real life, I absolutely hate the summer. I hate the heat. I like the cold winter. I like the snow. I'm not being sarcastic. I like, if I could move, I would move somewhere like maybe Alaska, or I don't think it snows in Norway all the time. I don't know, maybe it does. Norway is pretty northern. No, there's no way it snows in Norway all the time. Maybe like northern parts of Norway. Like, I think there's an islands. My geography that I did a little bit in school last year. I can't remember exactly, but I think it's like West Spitz or something like that. It's an island very, very far north of Norway, and I think it's part of Norway as well, but it may not be. But if I could move somewhere like there, I probably would, depending on what their legal system is and such. Or maybe even Canada. I just love the snow. I hate jungles. They're not for me. And I know the lore doesn't state Black Marsh as a jungle, but considering that the lore states Morrowind and Cyrodiil as these super unique places, and Bethesda didn't do that anyway, for some odd reason. Like Cyrodiil, if you read about Cyrodiilic lore, you would get a very, very different idea than what Oblivion portrayed. That is why I use the Oblivion Tree Overhaul, which is an amazing mod I recommend. If you don't like the palm trees, they're toggleable. It's a separate ESP, but that Oblivion Tree mod I use adds palm trees everywhere without making it into a jungle. And I fear that if Bethesda made Argonia, they would, instead of making it, you know, like all these giant palm trees in a marsh, I think they would just make it a giant jungle. But I would love for them to prove me wrong. Once again, if they do Argonia. But I probably want. I love Daggerfall, so I'd probably want High Rock, because Northern High Rock is snowy all the time. Or if they imported realism into the game and made seasons, like there were actually in Daggerfall, in most of the little provinces of Daggerfall. I think places like Icalon were like the northern parts of. I think it's pronounced Icalon, maybe it's Icalon. I think northern parts of Icalon are snowy all times of the year in Daggerfall and Northmoor. But in Daggerfall, if you've never played, seasons do pass, and it is noticeable. If you go to the town of Daggerfall during winter, everything will be covered in snow. All the trees will be covered in snow. If you go there during summer, it will be summer. If you go there during, I think Daggerfall had autumn and spring as well, but they weren't as noticeable of a change. So I think seasons would be an amazing thing. I hope Open Morrowind as I know I keep talking about Morrowind modding and such. I'm sorry, that's but that is a huge proportion of what I do. I probably do that more than I make YouTube videos, to be honest. Half of the stuff I make never gets released, though. What else? I probably don't want Valenwood again. My personal preference. I hate jungles and tropics. And I know Elsewhere is parts like epic forest and tropics and stuff, but the other part is like epic canyons, which sound really cool to me. So I would love. That's probably, and there's one other reason other than Elsewhere sounds cool. The one other reason that I want it to take place in Elsewhere is because I want to hear Khajiit guards go, "Step, you violated the law. Pay the court a fine or serve your sentence. Your stolen goods are now forfeit," or whatever. Or like they do in Elder Scrolls Online and say stuff like, "Your face could curdle milk." I just love Khajiit voices, so that's probably one of the. I love the Khajiit. I love cats. I'm a cat person, not a dog person. I like certain types of dogs though, like bloodhounds. They're okay. Or golden retrievers and huskies. Those are the only types of dogs. I hate little dogs. They bother me. I mean, of course, I wouldn't hurt one. I don't wish ill upon any of them. I don't like to be around little dogs. I grew up around big dogs and cats. We had a Great Dane, but we unfortunately had to sell him. Or I didn't. If I had to say so, we wouldn't have. But I used to have a lot of cats, but I don't live with them anymore. Yeah, I do like cats and such. So I love Khajiit. I also like fish, and that's why I like Argonians. Well, Morrowind's Argonians were more like fish than they were reptiles, that's one of the reasons I like Morrowind. So probably for location, Somerset Isles, Elsewhere, or High Rock. Maybe Morrowind, but I mean, I play so much of Morrowind that it wouldn't. I probably wouldn't really want Morrowind. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this first symbiotic discussions video, or whatever I decide to call it. One more thing, I want the games to be more mature. And by that, I don't mean sexy armors, because that's just bullshit. A leather bikini won't protect a woman in combat. I'm sorry. I mean things like more darker themes and such, like Daggerfall. If you play Daggerfall, you'll notice that it's got a much more darker theme. And if you mod Morrowind enough, Morrowind has a darker, more mature theme as well. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave comments for suggestions of more things you would like me to discuss. Maybe in the future I will have other people discuss things with me. Yeah, I will see you guys in the next episode. My name is Symbiote Dinosaur. You have been a fantastic audience, and I will see you guys in
the next episode.